Welcome back to another episode of Saber Team's Corner. We're going to call this one Ceasefire. So this incident happened in 96, 97 in Korea. I was with the scout platoon in Korea. We was at Warrior Base. And we were doing Warrior Base is basically 45 days of live fire. And so we was out there, and so what happened, we were going to do a movement to contact with the line companies. And I was in the mechanized infantry battalion, 1st to the 9th. And we were a Humvee scout platoon. And the infantry all had Bradleys. So we had practiced it in the daytime without the infantry coming with us. So we did a dress rehearsal. And what we were going to do, we were going to drive down maybe about a mile and a half down in a stagger column, then veer to the left and get in, keep all the vehicles veered to the left, gun swing to the right, and engage targets 1,500 meters down the road. Crossing the range impact area. The infantry were going to follow us down that road, and when we made our turn to the left, they was going to make their turn to the right. And as they did that, I explained what happened. So this thing took off maybe about 9 to 10 o'clock at night. It was pitch black out there, no lights. So we're all using night vision and blackout lights. So as we take off in the middle of the night, well, what can happen at night with live fire, right? So as we take off first. Bradley's right behind us. Boom. We make our turn to the left, and we start engaging with the 50 cals. And the target's in the impact area about 1,500 meters out. And so the 50 cals, they're opening up. My truck was number 3 in the line, so I was stand next to my gunner in the back. So he, I'll be on the opposite side of the vehicle, and I'll be yelling at him up, down, left, right. And so I decided that night to put my night vision goggles on. Man, if anybody ever wore PVS 7s, those things make your eyeballs sweat. You can barely see anything with them. I couldn't see a damn thing. I wore glasses, and that's probably the main reason. I never like wearing them. But I've worn PVS 4s, 5s, 6, and 7s. And 7s are better than all the rest of them for me. I know some of you newer cats got the newer stuff you guys wore. But I decided to put them on that night and just hold them up in my eyes, and I was spotting for my gunner. I was telling him left, right, down, because he's had a PVS 4 mounted on the 50 cal. If you guys ever shoot a 50 cal with a PVS 4 on it, trying to look through that thing while you're firing it, it's a real pain in the butt. So the only thing you can do is try to adjust with the tracers and try to have a spotter. That's the best way to do it. And so as I'm spotting targets for him, I noticed in the right bottom corner of my eye, I saw movement. So I was like, my eyes are playing tricks on me because I had these night visions on too much. So I decided to take these night visions off. And when I took them off, I decided to rub my eyes. And because I figured my eyes are playing tricks on me, right? So I put them back on, and I look back down, and I see movement. And I took them off again, and I looked back again, and I was like, those are people. And so immediately when I saw the people down there, immediately what I did was say, ceasefire. I grabbed the radio, yell out, ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire on the platoon net, and immediately yelled out ceasefire to my driver. Once you do a ceasefire command on any hot range, as soon as the first person says ceasefire, the second person said, third person said, immediately everybody on the range is yelling ceasefire, and guns go up. So once that happened, they were like, why you call ceasefire? I said, there's people coming up toward us. So we ran down there with them. A couple of sergeants followed me, medics followed me, and I get down there, and I was yelling at, "Who's in charge? Who's in charge? Who's your sergeant at?" And the sergeant, I'm in charge. But this guy, this guy was a white guy. Now the reason why I'm gonna say that, because usually I don't talk about color, but this guy, when I looked at his face was not picture white, but snow white. I mean, not yellow Snow White, but white, like copy machine paper white. He was petrified. He is little. I knew this guy had seen a ghost or seen death, and so I asked him what happened. He couldn't even explain what happened. He was stuttering so much. I said, "Get you some water, Sarge." So his hands were shaking like this. He couldn't even unsnap the buttons on his canteen. His hands were just shaking so much. So I unbuttoned his canteen, took the top off, and gave it to him. Told him, "Go ahead and drink some water, and tell me what happened." Well, he said, when you guys broke to the left, we broke to the right. The Bradleys broke, then they turned and faced down range. We jumped out. We hit the ground. The Bradleys engaged targets halfway up the hill. Once they engaged targets up halfway up the hill, they called the ceasefire. We ran up to reach the top of the hill, then called the Bradleys up. The Bradleys came up. Now, at that time, the Bradleys come up. They're supposed to be engaging targets 1,500 meters away, the same distance that the 50 cals are at. And he said, and the infantry, they go down the hill and assault. They have man targets down the hill, plus some foxholes. They can jump into and engage those targets while the Bradleys are shooting over them. He said when they ran down the hill, their Bradley machine gun started coax, 240 Charlie, started following them from the right side, pushing them toward us. And he said he got on his squad radio and told them, try to call them off. He said the guys, they just kept coming. He said when they got to that burn down at the bottom, when I saw them hesitate, he said when they hesitated, they were going to go back. But when they hesitated, the machine gun had started shooting in that corner at them. And what really doesn't make any sense. And I explain to you about the mechanics of that in a minute. So they ran up the hill, and as they ran up the hill, he took his chances with the 50 cals or staying with the 240. He made the right choice because for us, our trucks were up, and they were shooting at a level plane and had a hill slope. So basically, it would have been virtually impossible for the guys to hit him unless they deliberately did it. But, military things can happen. You know what I'm saying? We got him some water. He told us what happened. We didn't even go talk to his people. I don't even think my platoon sergeant went to go talk to his people or our lieutenant. Maybe our lieutenant did something. I didn't have to fill out any paperwork. I didn't have to do any witness statements or anything like that. And we went back and fired up the range again and went back live and continued to shoot targets downrange. Now, let me tell you how Bradleys work. I was a Bradley gunner, too. So in the Bradley, you have your optics that you look through, and you have a zoom and a zoom in and zoom out right over your head. And you can also change it. There's another button. You can change it to white hot or black hot. And if you go white hot or black hot, you can definitely tell what a living human being is once you zoom in with that. If you guys remember what the task, when they show those Apaches, the kill footage of the Apaches and stuff, it looks exactly similar. So for those guys not to know what a human target was compared to a silhouette, he had to intentionally be shooting at those guys trying to kill them. And luckily he didn't. And it was a smart move that he made to run over that berm. I know if I would have got back and found out what what Humvee, what Bradley that was, I probably would have choked the guy that night. And so I don't know what happened to that. It was just an incident that happened. Luckily, nobody got killed, and it was just one of those things, you know. And I just want to say, there's another story from Saber Team's corner, and from there, I'll see you guys on the range.